Relationships aren't always what they seem to be. Stay tuned to hear how one woman dealt with hers and by the grace of God came out on top. My name is Yvonne Lewis and you're watching Urban Report. Welcome to Urban Report. My guest today is Cheryl Roach Thorpe, author and musical evangelist. Welcome to Urban Report, Cheryl.
Thank you so much.
It's so
a pleasure
good
to be here.
Thank you. It's so good to have you. You know, we had your son and his group on Magnify Him.
So I remember that, and I was so excited.
Yes, Laos and Harmony.
Yes.
Right? And then you contacted me and you told me about this book. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, it sounds like, you know, she sounds like she's really gung-ho about it, so, you know, maybe it's really good. And I got it, and I have to tell you, Cheryl, it is riveting. It is a very interesting book. And as I read it, so many questions popped into my head. So I'm really glad you're here today because I think you can shed some light on what was going on. So let's talk a bit about you and your journey so that our viewers know who you are and where you came from.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank you so much for giving me this privilege. Thank you and God.
Amen.
I grew up in a musical family, 7 of us, and my father would take us to the little country churches and had all of us lined up playing with him. We would go on the back of a truck and get to the church, and then we would have to take up the entire day's program.
Playing what with him?
Playing different instruments. Each of us played a different instrument, and most of us played more than one. And we would also sing, and we would put on the entire day's program, and it was a joy. We grew up doing that. At least 3 Sabbaths every month, we would end up going on a trip somewhere to some church to perform and to minister, I should say.
So you grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian?
Yes, 100%, yes.
Yes.
We grew up on the Caribbean Union College campus in Trinidad. My parents lived in Port of Spain, and they moved to the campus so we could get a better education. And that's where we grew up, yes.
Okay, all right. So you come from a musical family. Mm-hmm. How did that impact your life later?
Oh, well, that's my pride and joy because I can't think of my life without music. And because it led us to minister so much in church, the God-given talents that we had, we were able to use them every day, literally every day, to bless and bring people to Jesus. So we just picked up whatever instrument was around. We taught on one, and whatever was there, we picked it up. So all of us played different instruments.
That's great. That's great. So you then used your music. Your music, there was kind of like a back and forth thing, a reciprocal thing. Your music impacted your spirituality, and your spirituality impacted your music, correct?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would say that.
All right. And so how did you meet your husband?
Okay, he moved from the southern part of the country and came to live on the campus also nearby. And he was my brother's best friend.
Okay.
So he would be in and out of the house, and we would just be one big happy group. And he also came from a musical family. And we started a small group, and then the group got bigger. And over the years, he ended up accompanying me. Because my brother was a musician. He played the piano for me. And when he had to leave the country for a while, I asked him to teach my husband all the songs that he was working with me, along with the choir and for myself, and that's what he did. And the story is history.
So then you and your husband developed a relationship through the music?
I could say that, yes. Because he was around in the house just like another person, because he would be in and out, I didn't even realize when the relationship was being developed, to be honest. It just happened one day. I said, wait a minute, it looks like we're getting closer. You know, stuff like that happened. It just grew on us.
Yeah.
But we were always in the same musical group, and we would hang out in the same groups on campus. So because of that, that's what I think brought us together.
So how long after he started kind of hanging around and doing the music for you, the accompaniment for you, how long after that did you realize that, I think I have feelings for this guy?
Well, we knew each other as children, so we started basically courting when we got to maybe like, maybe 20-something. Yeah.
Okay.
But he was always part of the close circle.
Right.
So that's
you
why it
weren't
was so
teenagers.
easy.
You weren't
Yes.
teenagers when you started courting.
I never checked the age. That's interesting. It just happened. It's one of those things that just fell into place.
Okay, okay. So tell us about your wedding.
Wow. It's funny. We were walking on the beach in Tobago. That's the sister country, Trinidad, and we had gone there to hang out with my brother and his friend. And my proposal, a lot of people read the book and they laugh at it because he didn't go down on his knees. He just held my hand. We were walking on the beach, and he said, I think it's time for us to shack up. Anybody from Trinidad would know what that meant. And that's what happened.
Well, wait, for those of us who aren't from Trinidad, shack up has a whole other connotation. So we don't, and this is très bien.
Shack up out of the Christian world would mean just going to live with somebody,
Right.
some woman or man that you
Right.
But within the Christian context of two young people who grew up in the system, it's just time to shack up. Let's get married.
Okay. All
At least
right.
that's what I took it as.
Oh, okay, okay.
And although I would have loved to have the romantic type proposal, down on one knee and all that good stuff for the ring, we didn't do that. We never got engaged. That was the engagement. And we just went back home to Trinidad. And I told my parents, and he came and spoke with them. And we made plans to get married, and that's where it flew. It was just natural. It just happened.
And did he say that he loved you?
Yes. Oh, many times.
Okay.
Many times.
Okay. And this is an important fact, because as things began to unravel, that seemed like a contradiction. So you are on the beach. He says it's time to get married. He goes back to your family. He says, let's get married. You get married. What happens after you get married?
I'm trying to think where I should start. We had a lot in common, a whole lot. So the first time, he's a very friendly person, and he always boasts about the fact that he loves to see what makes women tick. He just loves women, not just to go be with them, but he just loves God's creation. And he would always be questioning in someone or chatting with someone. He's extremely friendly. And I, to be honest, that's what attracted me to him too, because he was so friendly. He could make you feel comfortable and relaxed and loved. He was good with his words, so he knew exactly the right words to make you blush.
He's a smooth talker.
Yes, yes. Yes, that was one of his many talents, being able to talk smoothly.
Kind of really a charmer.
Yes.
But now, did you notice this before you got married, that he had this affinity for women, that he just kind of had this, he wanted to know what made women tick, or did you find out about this after you were married?
No, I actually found that out before, because that's how he functioned. But it attracted me to him because I guess I was one of the people that he made feel good too. And then we had all this in common. We did a lot of ministry together, even from children, because he was a member of my father's orchestra. He played the xylophone in my father's orchestra. In those days, he didn't play the piano yet, but he played the xylophone, and I would be next to him playing the, what was it? I can't even remember the name of the instrument right now. Anyway, we did a lot of instruments together, and we would travel together, and I would see him functioning, but it wasn't a problem because at that time I was not attracted to him in that sense. It was just part of living. He was just one of the bunch.
Right.
So that when I look back now, I can see where the signs were there from way before. But I guess because I wasn't serious then about him, it didn't matter to me in that sense. It was just another good friend.
Right.
Became a good friend.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So you weren't even thinking about the fact that he's kind of a ladies' man.
No, no, no.
Yeah, yeah. So after you got married, What happened? When did the infidelity start?
Very early in the marriage, we had a crusade, and one of the young ladies there would ask him to get rides home and stuff like that. And before I knew it, that was initially the first problem that turned up in the marriage, the first official problem. And that's where the trouble began.
How did you deal with it?
My first initial angry thought was grounds for divorce. But I thought about it, and I know that marriages have problems, and I was committed. I made up my mind when I got married that I was in it for the long haul. I loved him, and I believed that he loved me. And when I look at it, I really kind of compromise in my mind. I'm saying the same thing that attracted me to him would obviously attract other women to him also. And in all fairness to him, I figured I have to find a way to work around that. And that's what I did.
Work around?
Work around in the sense that I almost found myself becoming friends with the people. I'm being honest. I became friends with them so that we'd be in the same circles, and then it wouldn't bother me. And that, now that I look back and I analyze it, I think that's what I did. That was my method of coping at the time. Because he always boasted about having more female friends than male friends. And this was a reality. So I had to get used to the female clan being around him. And then I didn't mind. I'm a friendly person myself, and most times they were always in my circle. So it wasn't hard to just adapt and go along. But my point was, what I would tell him, I said, listen, once I get my position as number one, then I have no problem, because whatever else you do, that's between you and God. That was my basic bottom line decision.
So you didn't, and I'm just going to come from another woman's point of view, right? So you didn't say to him, look, this has got to stop. You cannot do this. I'm not going to accept this behavior from you. If you do it, I'm out.
Okay, I did say that relating to certain things that he did, but it wasn't like a general, you got to stop talking to women. I couldn't do that. I couldn't see myself doing that. If I would see him chatting too long with someone, stuff like that, kind of obviously you're married and you're over there talking to this person all this time, stuff like that, I would say, you know, that doesn't look good. You can't be doing stuff like that. And then the problem continued, because anytime you make a woman feel good, or anybody for that matter, they're attracted to you. And these people will be drawn towards him. And that is where the problems kept on just getting bigger and bigger. And we would drop, some of the friendships would be dropped for whatever reason. Either they die a natural death, or maybe because I fussed about it, or maybe because he just decided, okay, let me stop. But the trend kept on throughout the entire marriage. That general friendliness that he had, I think he looked at it as though it was part of his makeup. Like God put him there to be able to help these people in different ways. And it's not just people that were attracted to him he would help. He would generally just be helping any woman out there with a problem. That's what it was. So to be honest, I wouldn't even call it, typically it would sound as womanizing, like he's a womanizer. I didn't even put him in that category. I guess that's why I could last that long. Because it was a genuine love he had to help people. But it's just that these people were always women. And I would tease him and tell him, when we get to heaven, the stars in his crown will have a different shape, because he would have female stars in his crown. Oh
my, well, okay. I don't know about all that. See, here's the thing for me. It's like, as I read this, and being my age, you don't get to this age without having had some
trials and tribulations.
Yes, yourself. So I can understand, you know, some of the things that you go through when you're in a relationship, a marriage, and there's infidelity. But at some point, when do you say enough is enough? What did it take for you to say, I'm done? How many, well, first of all, let's go back for a second. How many infidelities do you think there were?
A lot. A lot that I know of.
Like more than 10?
Yes, I could say that.
Okay.
Yes.
So at what point did you say in your heart, I'm done with this. I'm not going to deal with this anymore? And what did it take for you to get there?
Okay, let me back up a bit. Very early in the marriage, he started using drugs.
Okay.
My brother was on drugs, my youngest brother, who was like a best friend to me. He started using drugs with him. He was his best friend. And
when you say drugs,
cocaine,
cocaine,
to be exact.
Okay.
I guess they must have dabbled with a lot of other stuff, but cocaine was the choice.
Okay.
And he actually came and admitted to me that he was using the drugs. The night, I never forgot, the night we had a crusade, and he came and told me, Cheryl, I know you realize that I've been out in the night and stuff, and rather than make you think that I have another woman, I want you to know I've been using drugs with your brother and the group of them, which I knew all of them anyway. I knew the friends that he hung out with. And that really tore me apart, because on top of the attraction to women, that was a whole new ball game. So this continued throughout the marriage, and I worked along with a drug rehab group that was formed in the conference in Trinidad, and I was able to see a lot of the people that we worked with get better, you know, in quotes, and come off of the drugs. And it was so difficult for me not to see him and my brother be blessed by what we were doing. So I blamed a lot of what he was doing on the drugs, because I know when you use drugs, it messes up your whole thought process. And a combination of that and wanting to see him off of the drugs, and thinking that if we could still minister, now all this time we are ministering, we would be in church on the stage functioning and doing crusades, part of the major crusade team in the country, we would be on the stage and sincerely working for the Lord. And what I would do, whenever I noticed that he was not making an effort to, in my own estimation, making an effort to stop using the drugs, I would not let him play for me to sing, not accompany me. Like if I had to do solos, I would just not, I would turn the accompaniment, turn it down.
Why?
Because I just felt that if he were not making the effort, then I didn't want him to be part of that particular ministry that I was doing that day, because I want that ministry to be honest and coming from a good place.
Right.
And I guess I could have been wrong sometimes, but I had to use what I could see and feel to make my decisions. So whenever I did accept an appointment to sing or to perform, because I was in charge of a junior choir also, all the kids and everything going up to perform, I would use my judgment to decide if we would do that performance or not, that ministry or not at that point in time. But that's how it went for quite a while. For most of the marriage, I would decide, look, you know, he's not making an effort, he's not using the resources that I think he should be using at this particular point in time. So I would not go on the stage to represent
right.
what I knew.
You didn't want him before the people kind of pretending to be ministering
right.
when he had the secret life
right.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's understandable. So let's look at this now. So here you are, you're a mother, mm-hmm. you're a wife whose husband is in ministry with you, mm-hmm. but on the side, he's got these women friends that he won't let go of. Mm-hmm. And now you're saying he's got a drug problem mm-hmm. that he also is not letting go of. Mm-hmm. And you're still trying to kind of make it fit, correct? You're mm-hmm. hanging in there, you're trying to make it, mm-hmm. you're trying to put that square peg into the round hole.
Trying to solve the problem.
Trying to solve the problem. But again, at what point now do you say, I'm done?
Okay, because I always believed that God could heal him, and I would pray like that, seriously pray, do all I could to get it to stop. I would tell myself, if we could minister like this and be so effective, with the drug problem and whatever other problems we had, could you imagine what a glorious day it would be if he got rid of all these, the female friends, the problem with the female friends, I should say. Not get rid of the friends, but get rid of the problems with them and the drugs, how dynamic our ministry could be, because that was my aim. Because, to be honest, I haven't found anybody else who could play the chords that I need for my song with the right mood and everything else. I've tried numerous musicians who some people may think are better than him, but I get I specialize in singing hymns, just arranging them, meditations and stuff like that. And the mood that I need, I haven't found anybody else that could do it. And I guess that was a kind of staying point for me. I know some people say they stay in a marriage because of the children for different reasons. I think one of the reasons why I stayed in the marriage was because of that musical bond that we had. And then the musical bond is not just a musical bond for showing off. It's a ministry that I totally was dedicated to. And he stuck with the ministry in spite of all that he was doing. He never stopped going to church. My brother, who was his best friend, whenever he went back on the drugs, he would stop going to church altogether. But he didn't stop going to church. He kept on. So I became an expert at covering up stuff and not letting people know where he was maybe the night before. But it didn't happen every time, but a lot of times when he had to perform, I would have to go and get him from the place wherever he was hanging out the night before and talk, pray, fuss, everything, whatever I had to do. And he would be right on target to perform the next morning. But after a while, I said, the Lord blessed him, let me put it that way. The Lord worked a miracle for him. And he was delivered from the drugs. One day he got up and he said, Cheryl, I don't have any desire again for the drug. And that was hallelujah for me. And I thought, well, finally, after all the years, it was worth it.
Did you seek counsel? Did you go to...
did.
Pastoral Council or anything? What happened with that?
Most of our friends, because we were always on the stage performing, most of our friends were ministers. And I did go to a few of them. And when I look back, I don't think I got the response that I really wanted. But then who am I to say what God wanted me to have at that point in time? But they would talk to me, they would all talk to me and go into all the details of what should be done. But to me, I didn't get the follow-up as much as I would have liked. That's me personally talking now, that I expected. I guess because he was my personal concern, I would be happy if they left everything and just came and solved the problem for me, but I know that's not how life is. So, and then he was really one of the best musicians around at the time. And I always felt that they were more concerned about getting his performance than really attending to his spirituality. It was more important to get the program flowing smoothly. And again, I'm not condemning them, but situations vary. And when he did tell me he was delivered, I was so happy. And unfortunately, Satan put another female right in position, somebody that also needed help, for him to help. And he started a whole new friendship with this person. So instead of getting the end result that I wanted, that I was hoping and praying for, that his coming off of the drugs didn't bring us any closer. And at that point, I decided, this is it.
Okay. And how long had you been married by this time?
Like 24, 25 years.
So you went through this grueling up and down relationship, and even it sounds to me, and this is not me sitting in judgment of you, because Lord knows I've made mistakes too, but it sounds as though you kind of enabled him to, like you tried to become friends with the women and all that, because you were trying to hang in there and trying to work it out, trying to cope with the situation instead of setting boundaries. If you had it all to do over again, what would you do differently?
I did set boundaries, but If I had to do it all over again, the thing is, I don't really regret what I've been through. I would not choose to live that life. I would have chosen a totally happy life with the perfect husband and the perfect piano player and just all romance and Bible. But that was not to be. So now I look back at my life. I cannot say that I regret anything. I would have done stuff differently. But the blessings that have come out of this experience, sharing the experience, and making me stronger. When I got the first copy of the book done, I signed an autograph in the book and took it to him. And what I wrote on the book was, thanks for the journey that brought me closer to Jesus. And I meant that with all my heart. When we finally separated, it was really hard for me to deal with. And I was trying to figure out how could I get this whole package that I went through for all these years, make sense of it. The text, Romans 8:28, all things work together for good. As I said in the book, I had a love-hate relationship with that text for a while, because all things means all things in the Bible. And a lot of stuff that happens, you can't even figure out why it's happening. And to you again, I've been there in church all my life, in crusades and in church and worshiping and praising and doing ministry. And yet, I can't even have a comfortable, happy married life. But along the way, we had a lot of fun. Now, when you hear all these problems, you would think that in our house, there would be a lot of tension, but there wasn't. I guess because of the blessings that God gave me, the kind of ability to just deal with a problem on the spot and forget it. 2 minutes after, I'd be laughing and talking. That's what we did. So if you ask my son how happy he was in the family, he grew up in a happy home.
So God has brought you through.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. The name of the book is You Can't Pretend the Truth Away. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for being with us.
Appreciate it.
May God bless you.
Yes.
Cheryl has shared some intensely personal information with us, not because she wants to expose herself to the world, but because she wants to proclaim the redemptive power of Jesus Christ. If you're going through repeated infidelities by your spouse, turn to Jesus. Ask him for guidance. He will guide you by his Spirit. Well, excuse me, that's it for our program. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you were blessed. We hope that this information really you can take and actually apply the goodness of Jesus to your life. Join us next time. It just wouldn't be the same without you.